Name, image, and likeness has hit the landscape of college football in recent years, generally to the benefit of the student athlete. However, many people, including myself, believe that there need to be regulations. We are pleased to be joined here at the Voice of College Football by West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, who has authored a bill along with Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville called Protecting Athletes, Schools, and Sports, PASS, P-A-S-S. Senator, thank you so much for joining us.
Sure thing, Mark. How are you?
I am doing just fine. And again, thank you so much for your time. What really hit you that caused you to take this initiative?
I don't know. Maybe just being an old college sports person who's not only tried to play it, but also follows it very closely, seeing what it's turned into and the business it's turned into in all levels is kind of sometimes a little bit offensive. You know, my goodness, we would... You played sports for the love of the sports, and then all of a sudden now there is no amateurism left whatsoever. It seems like as soon as in high school they're looking at the contracts and the high end of it. And I just thought, the schools now have to make a commitment when they give a Division I scholarship, as I understand. That's a 4-year commitment as far as getting their degree. So the athletics and the scholastic, and it's basically the student athlete, as we call them, and still student comes first. But they put that to the side now, and it's all about the contracts and the money. So we thought that was pretty bad. But then on top of that, then the portal transfers, taking all the different penalties off the portal transfer. And I don't see how a good coach can develop a player, because at 17 or 18, you might not be fully developed in the player that you could be. And maybe you have a good coach or coaching staff that can help develop that. But yet, if you don't do or get what you think you want, or the position that you desire to play, which might not be the best fitted for you, you just help them leave and go somewhere else. So really, as they transfer back and forth with this portal open the way it is, we were understanding that we have fewer and fewer athletes, college athletes, that will really get an education if they're just chasing the sports end of it. And then the money on top of that was just basically an affront to the point to where you had to have auction bidding. And I've had coaches tell me that they walked into recruits, and the first thing that a family member or a parent or a guardian, whoever was in charge of that child, they would say, well, he's been offered or she's been offered this much money. How much are you going to do? It's almost like a bidding auction. So that was just, to me, it's just not what it's about. It really isn't. But I don't want to impede a student. If a student athlete has these talents and they're that great, then they ought to get them a lawyer and a contract and go out and do what they can. They just shouldn't use it. There's basically a bidding process for their college education and their opportunity to play at college sports. If not, go right into the pros then. So that's all we're trying to do, is trying to put some guardrails on. We're not trying to impede anybody or harm them, but we're also making sure that the schools and the athletic departments understand they have a responsibility to the student athlete. They're going to get them an education, and they're going to make sure they're taking care of their health care that's needed. And these are the things that are responsible, but and give them an opportunity to get their education and finish that degree. That's the most important thing that we have, and that's what we were trying to push and pursue. And also keeping it towards there should be a certain element of the amateur in college sports until they become a pro.
So, Senator, while the overarching theme is here standardization, and what that's, as you well know, one of the big issues is that the rules change from state to state, and standardizing all of that, I wanted to hit on a few things because I think it's interesting that you want to have a regulating body that's going to force these collectives, number one, to be connected to the schools, to have to register in terms of an athlete in an NIL contract. They have to have a public website. They have to show a contract within 30 days. So there's got to be a lot of transparency there.
Absolutely. I mean, the collectives cannot operate outside the realm of the institution itself that is basically supposed to be supporting and representing. And we felt, and we talked to different areas of the sport and different officials, basically from the NCAA all the way down to the athletic directors and the college presidents and on, and the coaching staffs, trying to get a handle of that. Having Coach Tuberville coming from that ranks, being coach of Auburn, helped an awful lot understanding the process.
So, Senator, also one of your parts here that seems to really target something that's an issue right now is that the NCAA seems to be on its heels in regards to penalizing or investigating NIL deals because of the fear of litigation. And you have put something in place, you and Senator Tuberville, to mitigate that litigation issue.
Well, let me just say this. Charlie Baker, former governor of Massachusetts, who's a friend of mine, now being the head of the NCAA, I think it's the greatest thing that has happened and the greatest opportunity we have, that the NCAA can come back to a regulating body that's basically fair and equitable all the way around. And I really feel strongly about that. And Charlie will do the right thing, and he'll bring the right people on board to do that. So our confidence in Charlie Baker had an awful lot to play into what we did.
And for anybody who thinks that this is all about standardization and protecting the schools and the NCAA, you obviously take a great strides here in protecting the student athlete, as you stated off the top about the health insurance, the guarantees extending 8 years past graduation.
Well, the student, the student athlete is really what it's all about. As I said, the word student comes first. And my main concern, when I had a scholarship, a full scholarship ride at WVU, and a lot of the student athletes I serve with are still my dearest friends. I think the majority of them all got a degree. We all got a degree. We hung right in there and got a degree. I got hurt going into my spring game in my sophomore year, and it took me out of the ability, but I still had my scholarship, and they kept me. So it was a tremendous opportunity that I was able to see firsthand when you had a school and a coaching staff that really cared. The bottom line is we're just trying to put guardrails on, Mark. We're not trying to micromanage, if you will. That's not what our intent is. Our intent is to put an overall federal guidelines and guardrails that all schools have to pertain, and they still have a lot of flexibility. And we're not taking away the value of a student athlete. If they think they have that ability to sell their value, and there's going to be sporting contracts or whatever that's going to pay them individually, they just cannot use their value to hold hostage and use as a bidding process. That's all. And they can't just basically take the portal transfer and say, I'm going to go wherever I want to go if I don't get to play and if I don't get to do this and that. It gives a coach a chance to develop as a young student. There's still going to be exceptions and waivers, as there's always been. But we're just putting the guardrails back where they should have been all along. They should not have been advocated the way they were.
Yes, NIL is not supposed to be an enticement. It's supposed to be a benefit that is presented once the student is enrolled at the university and in class and contributing there. I also think that it's a good point here that you would like to initiate further curriculum in regards to educating the students on the financial aspect, the literacy there of knowing and understanding NIL and the legalities of it.
We can do that if the guardrails are on. You can't do it if it's not, because first of all, they're contacted sometimes while they're in high school to sign these preconditions and things of that sort. Now, all of a sudden, basically, we've seen kids that had $1 million plus or multi-million-dollar contract and started bidding back and forth, and before you knew it, it all went away. The collectors couldn't come through with the money, and the kid got nothing. We've seen absolute abuses that go on, and we find out the graduation rates are on line of being much, much less than what they have ever been in the past. And if you have a student athlete that in the portal system with no penalties and restrictions can go back and forth to 2 and 3 different schools, they're never going to graduate. So it's not about the student or the scholastic part of it. It's all about the athletic and the rewards. And very few of them are going to ever reach that plateau that they think or had been led to believe would happen. And that could come from the collectives or anyone else recruiting them. We're just trying to put some common sense back into this so that when you go and watch a game, you know that a student athlete has come there because of their educational opportunities and making sure they maintain certain grade point averages, knowing they can't flip-flop back and forth just because they're unhappy that they're not playing the position or not getting enough time because they haven't been developed or not as good as they think they might be. And on the other hand, if there's an exclusion to where a coach is left or extreme something in the family, as an extreme accident or horrific situation, they're still going to have that opportunity to make the changes. But I just don't understand how it got this far out of hand so quickly.
Senator, do you think there could be an issue with the 3 years of eligibility that's required to be completed before a player could transfer just because of the freedom of movement and freedom of choice in our society and our country?
Well, here's what we're asking for. We're mandating that the institution, whether it be WVU, Marshall, or anybody else, once they offer a Division I scholarship, they're committed to paying for that child to have that opportunity to get an education for 4 years, whether they get hurt the first day or not. So if we're asking the schools to basically commit absolutely without question a 4-year degree, and all we're asking for is a student athlete to commit for 3 years to be there to develop to the highest potential they can, and if they haven't, or they feel like they haven't been treated fairly, they have that waiver provision that with no penalties at all that last year. That's how we came about that.
Senator, what are your hopes of being able to present this and have a vote on this and be able to push this through in terms of a timetable?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to get that done before the end of the year. We would like to see this taken up because we don't think it should go to another football season, another year. Where it goes, Mark, the longer it goes, the more detrimental it'll be to the health and well-being of college sports. Thing, Mark, and we're saying the student and their family are still going to be tremendously involved in making the right decision. We want to give them all the opportunity and the knowledge they can to make a right decision, but they have rights, and we're going to make sure the student athlete is protected. With that is the responsibility of the institution, but also to making sure that outside interests, for whatever reasons, can't be more influential than the school has the responsibility of providing those opportunities. That's really what it's about.
Excellent. Senator Joe Manchin, West Virginia. Thank you so much, Senator, for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Sure thing, Mark. Take care.
Have a great day.
Let's go. Let's go Mountaineers.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.